Hello everyone, Alzion the Great here. Welcome back to MLB The Show 22 and the Texas Rangers franchise. Today in this episode we're going to go ahead and see the entire rest of the division of the AL West today, the Angels, Mariners, Athletics, and Astros, as well as finish up the month of April, as I want to start moving quickly throughout this season. First up are the LA Angels, and we have four games to pick from, but as I said in the last episode, we're going to be focusing on Jon Gray facing off against Shohei Ohtani, as Gray is not allowed a run yet, and Shohei is Shohei. As we start with a little bit of simming, we take the first game against Los Angeles 2-1, as Mike Trout hit a home run for the Angels. Charlie Culberson hit a home run for Texas. Also, Garcia got an RBI, as Kohei Arihara actually had a pretty good start despite giving up 8 hits. In the second game, we ended up losing 2-4, and then in the third game, we ended up losing 9-6, as this was Nick Tropiano's, I believe, second actual start, as he was still filling in for Martin Perez, who is still injured. But Lowe had 6 RBIs in the game, so he had every single one of our RBIs this game. But Tropiano only went 4 innings, gave up 5 earned runs. It was not very good. But we have the game that we wanted to watch: Jon Gray versus Shohei Ohtani. A couple of lineup changes: Seager, Garver, Solak all needed a rest, so we were going into this game without our ideal lineup for our matchup against Shohei. It begins with Jon Gray on the mound at home, as he gets the first 2 out. Trout does manage to get on base. Jared Walsh also walks, brings up Anthony Rendon, try to pick off, but it doesn't work. But we end up getting a fielder's choice anyway. Then Nathaniel Lowe plays Shohei Ohtani, who's having a decent start. Pitching, it isn't the best, but hitting-wise, he has been not that good. Only 186 so far to start the year. But Shohei is not hitting today, as Marcus Semien gets a double off of him. He's been having a really good season. Cole Calhoun gets a walk, and we stole second and third on a hit and run, which was a little bit surprising, but that did not lead to anything, as I mainly wanted to stay in quick sim, because I'm still working out the issues here with the glitching. You see it in the football games recently, as Jonah Heim, the catcher who was starting that day, hit a triple, and that was very funny to me, as I've still been trying to fix that issue, and I think I found one, but we'll see here, as Semien gets a single, steals second. Cole Calhoun can't drive him in, and then Mike Trout in the top of the 4th inning hits a solo home run, meaning Jon Gray has given up a run, which means his that streak is over. So he ends up hitting Anthony Rendon. I was actually surprised that Justin Upton, I didn't even know he was still playing, as one of the few players from MLB 10. It was like the first MLB game I played. Still there. It was fun to see him back, as Jon Gray going pretty good. He recovers well, but we're still not getting any offense off of Shohei. Tried to bunt with Leody, but it didn't work. Nathaniel Lowe hits a solo home run to tie us up. And then Jon Gray in the 6th strikes out Brandon Marsh. We pitch around Trout. He's having one hell of a start. Walsh gets a single. Then Rendon advances Trout, and then a ground out. So Jon Gray gets through 6 innings against Shohei, only allowing 1 run, as we're still not finding any offense and trying to get through the bottom of this lineup. There is an error, and then a runner, and then Tyler Wade. A lot of speed on base for the top of the lineup. You want to be a little bit careful, but we do get a strikeout. Still couldn't get anything as Shohei goes 7. Ended up taking out Jon Gray after a little bit of deliberation. He brought in John King, who was having a pretty darn good season. He also hadn't allowed a run, but Brandon Marsh gets a single to start off. Can't pick him off at first. We pitch around Trout again, because I don't want to deal with that. And we do get a double play with Walsh, and Rendon gets a walk. They pinch runner, and then Rengifo steals the base, and Justin Upton comes through with a 2-run single as we get out of that inning. Shohei was also pulled but Marcus Semien immediately hits a home run to bring us within 1 as we're still in this game. Jon Gray going to get taken out here in the top of the 9th. Brought in Spencer Patton. He's also having a good season so far, and is someone I do trust. As we try to pitch to contact to Tyler Wade, he hit a triple, and then David Fletcher drives him in. As now it's 4-2. They bring in Raisel Iglesias with the middle to bottom of our lineup coming up. We need a miracle as a fly-out, strikeout, and then the last out as Shohei Ohtani does manage to shut us down. Or Raisel Iglesias, I should say, shuts us down as we do lose to LA. But honestly, was very happy with the performance from Jon Gray. We just couldn't get anything off of the Angels pitching, and as you'll see later, I was having a little bit of an issue with Leody Taveras, as he was not hitting very well. But I'll save that point for later, as next up was Seattle. And also, Martin Perez came off the injured list, which means Nicholas Tropiano's short stint as a starter will come to an end. It was not very good, and I don't want to see him start ever again. But hopefully we don't have to resort to that as we try to get through to Taylor Hearn's start, I believe, as we won 14-9 in a 9-inning game. No extra innings, almost at OT. But Garcia had 3 home runs for the Mariners. Or the Mariners had 5 home runs, between Hinker Suarez, Lewis Haniger, and Kelnick. But yeah, the Mariners just crushed Dane Dunning and did not work out. Nicholas Tropiano actually came in and pitched a couple innings. Oh, and the start I actually wanted to do was Kohei Arihara versus Chris Flexen. I really wanted to see, if Arihara could have a good start. As start off, Nathaniel Lowe gets on first base and advance him over to second, but we can't do anything with it. As Kohei starts this game, I still want to see if I can build around Kohei and, see if he can do well, but already a terrible start to this game. Bases loaded in the bottom of the first with Kyle Lewis up, but a fielder's choice means no runs, and then a strikeout means Zip scored and only 1 hit, so we do that. Then Solak hits a double, but nothing comes of it, as we're just moving quickly along here. Another hit by pitch, second time I saw that today, which is a little concerning, but Leody Taveras gets a double, bunts him over, and Marcus Semien does end up getting a single. Good small ball there, especially by hit from Leody Taveras. But Corey Seager comes back and hits a 2-run home run, giving Kohei a 3-run lead. As you see what he can do at the top of this lineup. Jesse Winker, another hit. Can't pick him off. Mitch Haniger, we walk him, and then a fly out as we still try to get production off of Chris Flexen. Nick Solak manages to take second. And then a hit and run. Leody Taveras gets another double, as we're now up 4-0 on the Mariners. Kohei gives up a single and then a walk, and then it's a little concerning. Sack bunt, but he comes through with the strikeout with runners in scoring position, giving us 4 scoreless innings, as Flexen only lasted 4, giving up a hit there and leaving the game. Then Kohei in the 5th gives up Crawford accidentally pitched to contact to the number 3 hitter in the team. Not a good idea. But after a walk to Kyle Lewis, just decided to go ahead, bring in Spencer Patton once again, as I've grown to quite like him so far. Against Andres Munoz. It looks like a B, sorry. It looks like a B. We managed to get a single walk single and score another run. Sack bunt with Leody, even though he was hitting really well, I wanted to give the top 3 the chance. Semien walks, and this brings up Adolis Garcia, who has not gotten well today, or hit well today. He walks, and then Corey Seager pops it up. Can't have him all the time, as Patton gives us a 1-2-3 bottom of the 6th. Mariners bring in a new pitcher for the 7th inning. Solak hits a double. Then Calhoun hits a hit-and-run single, but Leody Taveras out of the 9 spot, a 3-run home run for Leody Taveras. And that was, I was hype after that. I was like, I don't even care what happens the rest of this recording session or video. Leody Taveras hit a 3-run homer, and I was very, very happy, as it was getting out of hand for the Mariners. But eventually we would excuse me, get to the end of this game, as there wasn't really much of a chance. You know, keeping Eric Swanson out there, it was just like kind of a give up signal. Leody comes up for a 4th time, but he does fly out. And then bottom of the 9th, just kept in Spencer Patton as a walk and an error. And then I was like, I'm not risking it. So let's just bring in Garrett Richards. I believe we brought in him, yes. As managed to strike out Jesse Winker, and then we get the game there, as we managed to just completely dominate Seattle. 13 hits. Would like to not see the error there, but you know, other than that, like, it was a pretty complete game. Especially, you know, getting a few, you know, really good hits from Leody Taveras. So I was very, very happy with that. As I think we saw the upside of Leody. I mean, he's already an amazing fielder. So far, only 192. He's not hitting very well. He's been mostly used to sacrifice himself and, you know, advance runners. But he's stealing bases when he does get on. He doesn't have an error yet. And sure, he's like -4 batting WAR, but I think his total WAR was 0.4. But as you see, we get an injury there to Dustin Harris, who's actually probably the guy who would take over first base in the future if we had to just look straight ahead right now. So a big loss. He'll be out for a couple months as we promote, got a AAA, and then Trevor Halver gets promoted up to AA. Now the reason this was funny to me, the very next day, Trevor Halver in his first game gets damaged knee cartilage, and he's out for even longer than the guy that got injured so that he can get called up, and it was just hilarious. But today, I believe we were facing the team that I can, you know, totally see, Oakland. We were facing Oakland, and this was Martin Perez's first start coming off of that head injury, or injury, whatever he sustained. As we get off to a quick start against Paul Blackburn, 2 home runs from Marcus Semien and Adolis Garcia to start the day. Means he already has 2 runs in his return, but error by Elvis, or gets Elvis Andrus to first base, the former Ranger, then a double play, but Pache still at first, then a walk, and then another walk, and now we're in, you know, big concern with Sheldon Noisy at the plate, bases loaded, but 2 outs and a fly out gets us out of that situation. So not the ideal, you know, return inning for Martin Perez, but he comes back in the second, gets a strikeout, gets a ground out, then Jonah Bride hits a double, and then Elvis Andrus gets a single, and Oakland gets a run. But I was, you know, feeling pretty confident as long as our hitting could, you know, stay good. You could probably, you know, I trust our team to win. I guess a shootout would be the not appropriate term for it, but I trust our offense at this point, as we actually weren't getting anything off of Blackburn, but Perez was still, you know, getting through there. Bride got another single, and then another single from Elvis Andrus, and I decided that would be it for Martin Perez. We actually put in Nick Tropiano to be the long relief guy, as I did not really think that the return for Perez was the best. And I put in Tropiano because, well, I just thought it was funny, you know. And also, want to see if he can improve his stats as we keep going on later in the game. Get a chance here. Charlie Culberson, first and third, no outs. They bring in Domingo Acevedo. And then a sacrifice fly from Culberson gets us the lead. Then a single, and we're basically in the same thing. But Nick Solak, he pops up. And then a 3-run home run from Cole Calhoun, who was batting 8th, and I was very much in control of the game and just watching and just seeing if Nick Tropiano could pitch with a lead. And just overall, I'm not entirely sure how competitive Oakland's going to be. I mean, I've rebuilt Oakland on my own in the past, but it took a couple years, and although now we're really good, it doesn't really matter. But usually it takes a couple years for Oakland to get in, as they do manage to get a run here in the 7th. But Jonah Heim hits a double, and that's when I started taking notice of Jonah Heim, because I noticed Mitch Garver often was not doing very well, or wasn't doing very well in terms of his season stats, and I just wanted to see, hey, if Jonah Heim can hit, he might get a chance to start. As Spores comes in and shuts him down in the 8th with AJ Puck coming in, and then I just kind of gave Spores a chance. We were up 5 still, gave up a run, but just pitching to contact, trying to get out of the game, and we won as Rangers beat the Athletics 8-3 with Elise Garcia gets player of the game. But overall, I think the offense is really clicking right now. It's just the pitching that needs to be more consistent, because when the offense is on, they're going to, score. But if the pitching can't keep up, like we can't have, 3.2 innings from Perez. And then came the one the team that I was most worried about, the Houston Astros. As Blaine Krim, who is also a first baseman, he gets injured for 2 to 3 months, and I was starting to get a little concerned because our first base depth at AAA was just looking like garbage, like literally. I did eventually find somebody who could play first base as we sim through the rest of the Oakland series and start simming through as Kohei loses to Odorizzi, and then we get to Taylor Hearn versus Framber Valdez. And this lineup is already spooky, as I pitched a contact to Bregman, and we walked Yordan Alvarez, and now bases loaded with Altuve up. And we get a fielder's choice, so no run there. We strike out McCormick. Jose Siri grounds out. So good job by Hearn there, surviving another bad first inning, as he did that in his debut, remember. Semien got a double, scored Culberson, Seager hit a 2-run home run, and we're up 3-0. So Taylor Hearn already has a good lead here as he gets 2 outs, but then we get to the top of the lineup, and it's always spooky facing the Astros in the top of their lineup, but we managed to get out of it. And just trying to move against Valdez, Culberson hits a 2-run home run as Duran walked and Taveras bunted him over. So that worked. We walk Yordan Alvarez. He steals a base with 36 speed, and I was just laughing at that point. But first and third with 1 out, we get a strikeout and then a walk. Taylor Jones, and then it's Nico Goodrum. And at this point, I didn't really want Taylor Hearn pitching anymore, but I didn't really know who to put in, and I didn't want to put in long relief, so I actually just put in Spencer Patton. I know that he can get us outs, and I trust that he can, actually do stuff, as Christian Javier also comes in the 3rd inning, meaning both starting pitchers last less than 3 innings in this game. As we walk Alex Bregman with 2 outs, and then Yordan Alvarez gets a single, getting concerned, but Patton survives. Then nothing happens in the bottom of the 4th. Patton's 2nd inning, I believe, or maybe his 3rd, as he gets a 1-2-3, and the game just cruising along here. The pitching really settled in after the first 2 innings, so I really try and get Nico Goodrum, but that would be the end of Spencer Patton's day. As we put in Garrett Richards, he gives up a single. 1st and 3rd, and then a walk makes it bases loaded for Yordan Alvarez, who just hits a sac fly. Then Altuve hits a single, and now Chase McCormick flies out with the bases loaded, meaning we only give up 1 run in the 6th. As Garrett Richards comes out and immediately gives up a solo home run to Jose Siri, but luckily no one was on base, as he gets 1-2-3 after that. As the Astros are hanging in there, but they're not, entirely taking us on yet. The game is still well within our control here. Put in Josh Spores, but gives up a single to Michael Brantley, gets a double play, then single from Alvarez, walk from Altuve, but nothing happens, and they just wanted to close it out. I wanted to actually win this game, so put in Joe Barlow to try and close it out, and he does manage to do it as the Rangers defeat the Astros 5-2 with only 3 hits. We defeated the Astros with 3 hits. I think 2 of them were home runs. So weird pitching day. Patton goes 2 2/3 innings and gets the win, but the trust in him only increased after that game. As here I realized I completely forgot about scouting, and these guys have been sitting waiting for a new assignment for a few days. And as I said, I'm not going to focus too much on scouting. I think it's kind of stupid when you talk about a bunch of players for a lot and then don't scout them. But there's one player I just had to look at because of his amazing combine, or his amazing gradings. But unfortunately, Guadalupe Sanchez is not a first rounder at all. So won't be picking him probably. I don't think I'll be picking him in the entire draft. But we end up taking the game the next day from Houston. Perez actually got his first win, even though he gave up 5 earned runs. And we almost, I almost said sweep Houston, almost take the series from Houston, as we end up splitting with them. Which means we lost to LA, we took the series against Seattle and Oakland, and then split with Houston, which, in my opinion, was a win. As we get through the series with Atlanta, taking it 2-3. And now we get into the roster here, as we see, the AA and AAA reports. Chris C's had a good month of April, which I was very happy with. I was actually very interested to see his progress. But overall, I just think pitching consistency is a thing we need to work on. Jack Leader is actually doing pretty good in AA, as I expected. But just in terms of Major League pitching, Dane Dooning has been an exceptionally bad pitcher this year, and I'm not super happy about it. There are some guys we can call up. Obviously, there's Leader. Cole Winn is also doing pretty good, which was nice to see. But just sending some people down, just making it so we have guys who are succeeding get rewarded by being promoted, and guys who aren't doing as good, obviously, getting sent down. I almost considered, as you saw there for a second, calling up Jack Leader, but I wanted to see just a little bit, give him another month at AA and just see how it works. But other than that, there's nothing too serious about this. I honestly think our relief pitching has actually been pretty darn solid. I also noticed Matt Bush is down there in AAA. Colby Allard, Brett Martin, Josh Sborz not doing super hot. And Brett Martin was somebody I think we could build around. And the only reason that I didn't call up Bush right now is because Martin is a lefty, I believe, and Bush is a righty. And usually I lack a lot of lefties in my rotations, just over my combined experience in MLB The Show of all the years. I usually don't put lefties in my bullpen, and I need to make sure I have some, so I didn't do that. But one development that I obviously talked about earlier was Mitch Garver being cold. Yohel Pozo is actually doing pretty good, but I'm actually thinking of maybe trading Mitch Garver at the deadline, But Yohel Pozo is doing pretty good to start, and Jonah Heim we'll talk about later. If it weren't for the injuries at first base, I'd feel a lot more confident in there. Marcus Semien, I know I didn't show his stats here. I showed Nash Knight, who was the guy I called up to AAA's, hitting .714, although it's only in 7 at-bats. But, as 1 second here, Josh Young, not doing very good. But I need to get this point out. Marcus Semien, even though I did not show his stats, I don't believe I did anyway, he is having an MVP level start to the season. Not only team MVP, but I legitimately think he could be an MVP candidate. As we just go through the rest of the team here, was hoping for more from Willie Calhoun. But Eli White was not doing super hot, sent him down. I feel confident in the team right now, and I'm not making any changes as far as calling somebody up to the show. But, yeah, just wanted to see. It's my usual monthly checkup on how everything is going. And we didn't have a right fielder who was, doing good at all. But here you can see we're only 4 games out from a wild card. Not that we should really be thinking about a wild card at the end of April, but you can just see some of the teams here. Right now, the Angels lead 19-10, and the reason for that is kind of Mike Trout, as usual, hitting 410 home runs in April. So I think he hit a home run every game that he played against us. And he is the leader for MVP right now and batting title. I think Hank Aaron as well. Syndergaard is the leader for the Cy Young. I don't think we actually met Syndergaard. And we faced the Angels. But I actually didn't spend too much time looking at awards and stats. I don't really care too much about awards and stats. Semien leads the league in doubles, though. Just want to point that out. But stats only matter if your team is succeeding. And right now, we're okay. We're not bad. We're not exceptionally good. But, we're just kind of middle of the pack. And right now, I think that's a win. I think this team needs to be rebuilt. And right now, I think we're a little bit ahead of schedule. We're actually, there's some statistical standouts that I'd like to point out if I took time to actually, slow down and look at these things in depth. But I just wanted to give, nice little update video, get through the month of April. I want to try and do this series very quickly, as the only lineup change I actually made was Jonah Heim. He is now going to be the everyday starting catcher for at least a little bit. I just wanted to see, if he could, do that. But that will be all for this episode. Thank you all for watching. My name is Elzan the Great, and I will see you all next time.